Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Health Discourse with Sakshi and Sushant. So, hi, Sushant. Good morning. And
Good
today, our
morning.
good morning. So, our discussion is going to be centering around the most important factor in everyone's lives, but we usually overlook it, and it is about sleep. So, sleep is something which is responsible for healing of our body, right? In a very generic way, if I have to say it. But let's get, these days with the kind of work culture we have, it seems that we have not been focusing on sleep too much, Sushant, right? And I would like to begin this talk with my first question that what is the impact of sleep on our body if it is disruptive time and again?
Okay, so you have to think it's not only about the number of hours of sleep, but the quality of sleep, the sleep efficiency, the deep sleep. There are multiple things which we have to consider, right? So, generally we are told, you need to sleep 7 to 8 hours a day, right? And you should be away from blue light, and all these are general standard things, which are by the way, right? But we have to understand here the science behind sleep obstruction, right? It is not only about that you know, you have paucity of time to sleep. Probably you're working for late nights and you're sleeping 4 to 5 hours. That is one of the reasons you have deficient sleep. That is in terms of the number of hours of sleep, and obviously the deep sleep and a lot of other factors, right? But important thing to consider is that the obstruction in sleep is caused by various biological, dysregulations. And again, a lot of us have never considered the role of microbiome in our sleep regulation, right? So again, there is a vicious cycle. So if you have high stress levels, right? Whether it is financial stress or work stress or relationship stress or general stress in common, right? It could impact your, basically your sleep patterns, your sync with your dark light cycle, right? And again, it could impact your sleep issues. Second thing is, again, it's a bidirectional relationship, right? So here the role of gut microbiomes comes into picture, right? So if you have stress, it leads to deficient sleep, right? And it impacts various biological processes in place, right? Second thing is, gut and brain are connected to each other through vagus nerve, right? And so the same nerves which helps in food motility and digestion also impacts your heartbeats and your mood, right? So if there's a gut dysbiosis, if there is certain microbes doing pathogenic activities or producing pro-inflammatory metabolites and molecules, right? Some of them could be neurotoxic metabolites which could cross the blood-brain barrier and go to brain, right? When it goes to brain, it activates your HPA axis. It leads to a higher fight and flight response or cortisol, or it triggers the stress response. So when it triggers the stress response, right? Again, it impacts your heartbeats. It impacts your, your sleeping patterns, right? So stress causes the sleep part, and again the stress, the microbial gut microbial dysbiosis driven stress causes sleep obstruction, right? It's a vicious cycle, right? So if you're in really stress mode, it will impact your sleep pattern, your sync with your dark light cycle, and uh, similarly, if you have dysbiosis, if you have dysbiosis, probably it would trigger your stress, it will trigger your sleep, right? So again, if you have disruptive sleep, you have this stress, and again, stress causes disruption. So if you're in other words, to keep it very simple. So first, obviously, if there's a gut dysbiosis, it triggers stress. Stress triggers gut dysbiosis triggers the production of neuroinflammatory metabolites. It triggers, activation HPXs, which causes stress, right? Again, it impacts your heart rate, it impacts your mood, it impacts your sleeping patterns. Similarly, if you have, probably destructive sleep, less sleep, deficient sleep, or there's no sync between your sleeping pattern and the dark night cycle. Probably it will cause stress. Again, stress is called dysbiosis. So in terms of stress, you have to understand that what happens is that when you have stress, when you fight and flight response, so it gives a message to your body that you are being attacked, and you close on all the non-essential systems, including digestive systems, including immune system. Not the only thing is blood circulation, breathing, which works, right? So essentially, stress causes dysbiosis. It causes production of protein molecules, and that's why it is also linked to various chronic disease, including cardiovascular disease, right? So
So I think I was about to come to that question, and since we're beginning to talk about it, how does it impact the onset of cardiovascular disease? Because these days we are seeing that a lot of people, even who have long working hours and who do not have proper sleep, and a lot of people they're going through such issues. We have big names who have come up with such kind of issues. So would you like to shed some light on that?
So yeah. So first thing is you have to understand that that do not first option is obviously first reason is obviously you are not having enough sleep, right? When you do not have enough sleep, during sleep there is something called nocturnal dipping, right? Where your blood pressure goes down to 10 to 20%, right? But if you are not having enough sleep, there's non-dipping, and which raises your blood pressure, which is your hypertension, which is again an independent risk factor for cardiovascular disease. Second thing is, when you have uh, as I would like to repeat that when we have deficiency in sleep, low quality sleep, or disruption in sleep cycle, right? So this causes stress, that causes dysbiosis, and again it triggers inflammation, right? And again, inflammation dependent risk factor for type 2 diabetes, for cardiovascular disease, a lot of these things, right? That is one aspect, right? Other aspect is, so again, from your chronic disease perspective, that's how sleep, that is the science behind how the sleep impact your stress level. Stress level leads to gut dysbiosis. Gut dysbiosis leads to inflammation. Inflammation leads to various issues, right? And obviously, it is not something that, okay, I didn't have uh, good sleep for 2 to 3 months, so I will have cardiovascular disease. It doesn't work like that, right? So probably if you do not have the right, you're not having right sleep, in spite of having 7 hours of sleep or 8 hours sleep, we don't have the right quality of sleep because of gut dysbiosis, or because couple of factors which I'll be sharing now, right? So it is something which would trigger various chronic health issues. And in respect of cardiovascular disease, it is not only this one single trigger. So there will be multiple inflammation going on. If you talk about specific people, right? Uh, so constant lack of quality of sleep, constant low percentage of deep sleep, right? Uh, Less hours of sleep, right? Multiple factors. Low melatonin production. Again, I am going to talk about melatonin production also, right? These are the multiple factors which triggers inflammation. But in specific cases, if people are having certain uh, ongoing inflammation with respect to heart health, in terms of probably they are releasing a lot of microbiomes, releasing a lot of harmful metabolites, or there's low production of nitric oxide, right? A number of things, right? Which could trigger cardiovascular disease, and sleep could have an amplifying impact as well, right? So it is a combination of different factors. So you cannot just blame that it is only about sleep. I had an heart attack, or I am type 2 diabetic, right? It is one of the factors, but it does contribute. It does amplifies, right? Or it activates certain different pathways which could trigger these chronic diseases, right? So it's so again, when we call in body as system biology, right? So it's everything that's connected. There are multiple factors come into play, right? Sleep may cause stress. Stress may cause certain inflammatory molecules being upregulated, which may cause plague in your arteries, right? So again, there can be multiple metabolites which could cause, right? So oxidative stress could also impact your sleep patterns. So if you have oxidative stress, which is again an independent risk factor for cardiovascular disease, right? Just telling that, oh, I didn't have good sleep, so that's why reason is heart is obviously you. That is one of the reasons, but there are multiple reasons at play, right? Second thing, when we talk of melatonin, right? So again, melatonin is our gut microbiome is capable of producing GABA, right? Which is again a neurotransmitter which helps in our sleep. It also produces tryptophan, right? And again, it also produces melatonin, right? So serotonin and what I meant was basically, the gut microbiome can use tryptophan to produce serotonin, and it also produces melatonin. I mean, melatonin is one of the neurotransmitter which triggers your sleep. So if your gut microbiome is imbalanced, right, it is not producing enough GABA or melatonin, probably it is going to impact your sleep patterns. So again, my reason of telling you this is it is not only about that having less hours sleep is causing. So there are certain uh, trigger points, certain pathways being activated inside the body at a molecular level, which may obstruct your sleep patterns, right? Third thing is, when your gut is imbalanced, right? So, or maybe your immune system is overactive because of certain toxins or certain infection or pathways. It could disrupt the normal cellular processes, our process. So it could even this inflammation, which inflammation is nothing but immune reaction, right? So this inflammation could permeate from your gut to different cell tissues, including lungs, right? So it goes to the lungs, right? It could impact your breathing problem at nights, which could directly impact your sleeping patterns, right? So again, this is one of the important reasons why how inflammation is connected with your obstruction in sleep, right? Third thing, when you talk of melatonin, right? Melatonin is produced by pineal gland. So one of the things which nobody actually focuses on, and it's really really important, right? Which is one of the ingredients, knowingly, unknowingly, a toxin ingredient, antiseptic, antimicrobial, and neurotoxin, which we are ingesting daily twice every day, right? And that is fluoride, right? Again, fluoride is found in almost every toothpaste. We take fluoride because our dentists always tell that, if you take fluoride, you'll have less cavities, but it is a neurotoxin, right? So fluoride accumulation of it's excess fluoride which you take accumulation of fluoride in the pineal gland can interfere with the production of melatonin, which could impact your deep sleep. It could reduce your deep sleep percentage. It could impact your sleep efficiency. It could impact your sleep patterns, right? Again, these are uh, handful of reasons which causes uh, deficient sleep or impacts our sleep regulation cycle, right? So it's not only about less hours sleep, the deep sleep, the efficiency of sleep, the alignment with the sleep wake cycle. A lot of these there's a science behind it where the role of gut and oral microbiome comes into picture. And again, fluoride is something which disrupts your oral microbiome, right? Fluoride is linked to hypothyroidism, is linked to type 2 diabetes, is linked to cardiovascular because it suppresses the production of nitric oxide, right? So again, that is one of the reasons which could cause it enters in pineal gland and causes sleep disruption, right? This is really, really linked. I'm not sure whether a lot of people have felt this way or not. So people who have gum disease, right, also have sleep apnea problems. Yeah.
I think that's a very interesting relationship you mentioned here. So what about these days we are seeing a lot of food extracts being given as supplements for sleep, right?
Hmm.
And even this hormone that you mentioned, melatonin, it is also given as a supplement artificially. So is it going
Hmm.
to help for your sleep issues? And also sometimes, some people are given antidepressants for some anxiety and sleep issues, and also some over the counter sleep medications. We all know the dosages, right? So if one is actually going into all these things, so is it really going to impact the hormonal disruption for sleep?
See, like food, drugs, and all these supplements are also metabolized by your microbiome, right? So so if your pathways are not activated rightly, or there's a lot of overactivation of pro-inflammatory pathways, it is going to anyway impact your sleep. So you're just masking your problem, right? uh, it's a band-aid solution, right? So I'm not sure how many people who take melatonin would really impact, because if you're taking a lot of fluoride, right, it is going to impact your sleep patterns. If your gut is imbalanced, if there's a lot of neurotoxins being produced, which would cause blood to drain and start stress, it will trigger stress, it will trigger, sleep issues, right? So, due to stress, I explained, when you have stress, you have impact on your sleep patterns, you have impact on your heart rate, your nocturnal, dipping goes for a toss, right, which it escalates your blood pressure, you have a high blood pressure, you have hypertension, right? So these are band-aid solutions. So far, the problem is, when we have a lack of, probably when you have, so suppose if someone has a chest pain, or shortness of breath, or some symptoms of heart disease, or some symptoms of type 2 diabetes, if there's no solutions, doctors are finding, they will say, you have deficiency, and you tell that I sleep 5 to 6 hours, they'll say, oh, this is the problem, you have a proper sleep, right? But again, these, and then probably they will give melatonin so that it has that impact of having sleep, but that's a banded solution. You have to understand why you have obstructive sleep. It is only because of less hours you are sleeping, or if there's a lot of dysregulation biological functions, whether it is gut dysbiosis, oral dysbiosis, a lot of fluoride happening, so a lot of fluoride being consumed, fluorosis inside the body, or there is an fluoroxyapatite happening inside the body. So production of fluorosis, which is an excess fluoride accumulation inside the body, which could cause, right. So essentially, you have to understand why I have an obstructive sleep. It is only because of less hours of sleep, or there's something going on inside the body which is making me have obstructive sleep patterns, or sleep apnea, or deficient sleep. And again, people who have less sleep have digestive issues also, and again, this to stress, right?
And
So
I think sometimes even it is actually the either way also. What I have felt that some people with digestive issues, they surely do have this sleep
that's
problems.
that's what I
It is
told you,
actually a
right?
bidirectional thing,
That that
right?
that's what I told you. If you have obstructive sleep patterns, if you have low sleep, deficient sleep, the sleep quality is low. If your sleep cycle is not in sync with your dark night, dark light cycle, right, which is a circadian rhythm, right? So it triggers stress, right? And trigger cell causes gut dysbiosis, because of excess release of cortisol or fight and flight response, right?
And
Your body
even
shuts.
irritability, mood swings.
Yeah,
That's
yes.
that's
So
that's
that's
like it.
so.
Yeah.
So let me put it very simple, right? As I mentioned, sleep disruption because of low quality sleep, because less hours sleeps, or not anything with circadian leads to stress. Stress leads to gut dysbiosis, and this gut dysbiosis may lead to production of neurotoxin metabolites, which again, would cause stress, and again, stress would cause your disruption sleep pattern. So it's a vicious cycle.
It is a
Sleep would
vicious
cause
cycle.
sleep would cause stress. Stress will cause gut dysbiosis will cause various systemic health issues, which include your digestive issues, or if you have gut dysbiosis, wrong dietary choices, or maybe environmental issues, or processed food which is causing gut dysbiosis, which will again trigger neurotoxic metabolites, which is go to your blood brain, cross blood will go to your brain, start doing inflammation. You will have overactive excess cortisol production, right? Again, it will cause stress. It will cause increase in heartbeat or change in your heartbeat. It will impact your mood. It will impact your sleep patterns, right? So it's a vicious cycle, right? It's not something just uh, taking believing that it is only about less hours of sleep which is causing a problem. Probably I increase my sleep hours, that is going to help. Probably or you take melatonin, that is going to help. It is a banded solutions,
Sushant,
right?
what I also feel that these days, previously, if you see, go back like 20, 30 years ago, our parents and 50, 70 years ago, our grandparents' time, they used to be so much into physical work, right? They used to do their household chores themselves, right? And I think it is also because we have become sedentary. Our lifestyle has become sedentary. and we are not able
Yes.
to
So let me tell you the
say.
science behind it, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's where I'm coming at also. I want to ask you that question. That is the
Hmm.
question only. That because of their manual work, I believe exercising was a part of their life. They did not have to spare, extra time for exercise. With this, we come to this thing that exercise it does induce, improves your metabolism. Yeah, manual work, if you say.
No, so the science behind is when you do exercise, you actually there are research which says that exercising 45 minutes 3 to 5 days a week improves your gut microbiome diversity.
Yeah, yeah.
On the flip side, balanced oral microbiome improves your exercise performance, right? So again,
Mm-hmm.
it's a vicious cycle. So if you're doing workout, right? If you're exercising, it is not necessary you go to gym and pick up, that
Weights.
rods and all those iron. You don't need to do all of this. Multiple ways of you can exercise. You can do yoga, you can do HIIT, you can do normal exercise, you can do
You
walk,
can
you can do
walk, take a
jog.
long walk, or you can also do your household chores yourself. I mean, a
Yeah,
lot of things one can just,
in
do
fact,
away.
even in terms of weight training, you can do your body weight training, which a lot of actors in the Bollywood film industry do weight training as well, right? A lot of
Calisthenics.
yeah, calisthenics
Calisthenics.
or weight training, right? So again, when you do exercise, it improves your gut microbial diversity, right? And it makes sure that do not have that inflammation. So probably you have to understand one simple things. Why we are told when we are stressed to do exercise, right? Because when you have stress, your high fight and fight response, it gives you a message, oh, shut down all nervous systems because there's no need of digesting foods. You are going to die soon, right? You are being attacked by someone, right? And again, when you exercise or when you do yoga, when you do meditation, it gives us a signal, oh, everything is fine, body is working well, and then you know the stress goes and your body's functions come back to normal, right? So again, so exercise has a role to play, right? But it is not so if your body is not producing enough nitric oxide, right? It is going to impact your exercise performance. You're going to lose the cardioprotective benefits of exercise, right? So it's a two-way street. You cannot say, I'm doing exercise and I will be. There's a difference between being fit and being healthy, right? Yeah.
That's totally relatable. And I would like to ask you about your personal experience. I have seen you exercising, for quite some time now, and you have to. I think you are the perfect example of, I would say, being healthy, because what I feel is that I haven't ever seen you being sick throughout the years that we know each other and all that. But I mean, how do you manage to keep yourself so much fit and even get up on time and everything?
So it's all about schedule, time management, discipline, right? I know where to draw the line, right? I make sure that I sleep properly, right? I have proper sleep. I eat right. I don't get into. Obviously, we have decoded our microbiome, so we know what to eat, what not to eat, right? And I don't fall for fat diets. Yeah, some things I do. I don't take sugar. I don't eat processed stuff. I don't eat anything packaged, right?
Mhm.
I generally do not eat anything after 6 in the evening, right? Till 8 in the morning, right? So that's 12, 14 hour window I do not eat, right? Then I make sure I work out at least 4 days a week, 1 hour, 60 to 90 minutes, right? And then obviously the household chores which we generally do, so that helps and. So
Hmm.
that's a typical
And
thing
I
you
have
have.
also seen you don't use a vehicle. You usually take a walk to the markets, even if it is
Yeah.
2 kilometers away. Yeah.
So we're trying to live that, the traditional life which our parents and grandparents used to live, right? And and
Hmm.
and that's all about it. Yeah.
Thanks, Sushant. I think that was a really interesting discussion here. Any last words would you like to add before we conclude this talk?
Yeah, so first thing is obviously which is non-negotiable thing is sleep 7 to 8 hours. Uh, be away from blue light, right, from your mobile, at least 1.5 hours before you sleep, right? Uh, do not believe that even you're sleeping less, this is causing issues in your various health conditions. The quality of sleep, the deep sleep, right? A lot of factors comes into play, which increase your own gut microbiome, imbalance in your body, right? Stress levels, right? So stress, sleep, right? Dietary choice, which is married to your biology, right? Uh, Being active, work out 60 minutes a day, 3 to 4 days a week, right? You don't need to slog too much of 7 days, 2 hours, and picking up weights. It is not required. It is all, so you can just make your body move, right? That is really important. Have the right nutrition, nourish yourself with the right nutrition. Do not fall for fad diets, uh, just have try to reduce your stress as much as you can, and even few things which I would like to say probably, which I'm sure a lot of people in metro cities won't do, spend time with nature or soil, right? That would impact.
That is really important because your microbiome. I think naturally humans have this craving of going towards the forest and the somewhere in the nature. I think naturally we have this craving because we want to go out, you know,
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
out of that
But
concrete jungle and all.
that's a problem in the big cities. We don't have that such nature, right? Or probably we have cut that to build big concrete buildings, right? So that's a bigger problem, and that's probably that's a different discussion we can do separately, right? But from for now, have proper sleep. Your nutrition choices impact your sleep, right? And sleep impact your nutrition choices. Your sleep impact your digestive system. Digestive system impact your sleep. Stress impact your sleep. Sleep impact your stress, right? So it's a vicious cycle. Everything is contained inside the body, right? Uh, so
So
that's
I
about
think
it.
with this, we come to the end of this interesting discussion. Thank you, Sushant, for giving us some interesting insights on the relationship between sleep and our health and the how gut microbiome impacts it. And for all our listeners, thank you for listening to our talks. And we are available on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Google, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Thank you.
Thank you.